Now I want to tell one more divine encounter story before we go on to the next point, okay? I really want to tell you about 20 of them, okay? But
fix it.
Okay, just buy my book, and I don't have a book, so you know, a Xerox paper over here or something will get going. I'm going to tell you one more story about Eastern Europe. Something happened to me. A friend of mine flew into Budapest and was going to have a 3-hour layover before he go to Romania. We're doing camp, Romania, in Russia. We're doing a camp in Russia, and he flew to Budapest to go to Moscow. And I said, well, you have a 3-hour layover. Let me come pick you up at the airport. I'm going to give you a 3-hour tour, okay? And so I picked him up from the airport and checked him out, and we went down to get on the subway, and the subway broke down. Well, I said, I can give you the tour over the bus system. Budapest is my second home. I know every bus, every taxi cab. I've lived there so long, been up and down every street in Budapest. There's 26 sections of Budapest. I've started a church at every section of Budapest. There's now an evangelical church in every area of Budapest. And so I said, well, we'll get on the bus. Well, I hate giving the tour on the bus because, first of all, you're standing there on the plastic strap, you know, and you're giving it through your armpit. And over here, you know, is Marguerite Island. Over here is this, over here, you know. And I'm giving it to my friend, and as I'm giving the tour, and I'm yelling over the diesel engine of the bus. You ever been on those buses? They're very loud and noisy. Over here is, you know, and all the Hungarians going. They don't understand what I'm saying. All they hear, blah, 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 and they're just looking out where I'm pointing and yelling, they're looking. And this kid kept on getting closer and closer to me, and all of a sudden he was almost face to face with me. He goes, where did you learn to speak English? I said, I'm American. He goes, no, you're not. Well, I know my English is not very good, but yes, I am an American. He said, I came from America last night. I've been there 3 years. And I said, what were you doing in America? He said, I was studying the Bible. I said, I happen to be a missionary for the Lord Jesus Christ myself. Tell me about it. You know, and we began to talk. I said, my name is Walker. He said, my name is Daniel. I said, oh, Daniel, what are you doing? He said, I'm trying to find my friend. If you don't know anything about Europe, no one drives. Everybody's on public transportation. So all the kids date on buses, okay? They're making out on, you know, you get on the bus and all. My youngest son used to sit there on the subway going, excuse me, there are children on the subway. There's children here. Because they would be making out like you would see in a drive-in theater in America on a bus, you know. And my son would be so embarrassed. He used to say, of course, I didn't understand English, but excuse me, there are children here. He said, I'm looking for my friends. I'm hanging out on the public transportation trying to find my friend, and I can't find them. I said, can you give me a couple hours to give my friend a tour of Budapest? Since you're a native, you know more about this country than I do. He said, okay. So Daniel and I and my friend, we had this incredible tour. I mean, we're going everywhere. And the last part of the tour, if you know anything about Budapest, there's two sides. There's Buda and Pest, okay? Buda is a hilly side, Pest is a flat side. And they joined together after a bubonic plague event happened, and they became Buda, capital P-E-S-T, Budapest. And so what happened on top of the Buda side is a castle called the Fisherman Castle. And you stand up there and you look over the Danube River. You know how the blue Danube? Let me tell you, it's never been blue. It's always been dirty and nasty, okay? The Danube separates Buda and Pest. And you look over on top of the Parliament of Hungary. Now, the Parliament of Hungary is one of my favorite buildings in all of Europe. It looks like Disney World. They've been cleaning it for 140 years. They've been cleaning it outside the building. And it's got spirals go all the way up. It's just an incredible architect. And so I'm saying to my friend, oh, look at there. In the Budapest, the Parliament of Budapest is my favorite building. I said, look, Daniel, you know what? The flag is up. You know what that means? It means the president is in. And I was telling them all about, I was giving this side of the parliament, this and over here, and the Crown of Hungary dwells in Budapest. The United States had the Crown of Hungary. Jimmy Carter gave it to a Baptist pastor who brought it back in. Arpad Ravis brought it back. And then, so religion became popular because of the Crown of Hungary coming back to their own country. And I'm telling all this stuff. And Daniel goes, my dad works there. I said to Daniel, and Daniel, you know what that means over there? And Daniel goes, my dad works there. I said, Daniel, what does your dad do? He said, my dad is the president of Hungary. Being American, I go, no way. I said, where's your bodyguards? You know, if you're the president's son. I said, in fact, I said, you're the third guy today who told me he's the president's son. And I was laughing at him. He goes, you want to see my papers? And I go, Daniel, you really are. I said, why don't you have bodyguards? He said, this is not America. I don't need bodyguards here. I said, Daniel, is your dad a believer? He said, that's the problem, Walker. I led my dad to the Lord by the telephone last week. He was the communist leader before the wall fell, and now he's the president of the Socialist Party. And he said, I led him to the Lord, and he's afraid to make his faith public because of political ramification. And I flew home to spend the summer to disciple him and to encourage him to make his faith public. He said, Walker, would you pray for my dad? And I said, let's do it right now. So Daniel and I and my friend, we stood and we prayed over the Parliament of Hungary and for the President of Hungary. And then Daniel said, I have nothing to do this summer. Can I work for you? I know what you do. You go out and do the drama and stuff. I'd like to help reach my own people for Christ. Can I work for you? I said, let me pray about it. Okay. And I don't pray about a lot of things very long, okay? And I said, yeah. He said, well, I have to leave. I said, I have to take my friend back to the airport. And then I have to go see a friend of mine in Belarus. I got a few things to do. He said, well, and he took out a piece of paper and says, here's my telephone number. Call me when you get done with your running around and we'll meet back up. I said, okay. So Daniel left, and also I got thinking, I have the President of Hungary's personal home telephone number. I'm pretty impressed with myself at this point. Do you all have it? Okay. I have his own personal home. So I had to go see my friend named Bela Rusa. Now, Bela Rusa is the most amazing man. If you ever want a guy to come to Perspective, you got to get Bela to come. I don't know where he's at. You got to find him, but have him come. He lives in a Toyota car. One of those little old European Toyota, small ones. He took out the passenger seat and put a bed in it. He took out the back seat and he has a toilet and a stove in the back of the little car. Little Toyota car. He used to be an engineer, and what he's done, he's go up into the Urussia Mountains and he goes from gypsy village to gypsy village for 9 months at a time, and he lives in his car because he's living with the gypsies. And he has 2 sets of clothes. He wears one, wear one, wash one, wear one, wash one. For you guys, you ought to see this car. I have it on video. This guy, he built the car so he could rebuild the whole car by himself on the side of the road. He has pistons built into the door. He has crankshafts. He has every part to rebuild the car built into the fender well, into the car. I mean, it's just incredible that he can rebuild his car on the side of the road. He has a water purification system built in his car. You open the hood and there's a tank, you pour the water in, it goes through this car, come out of the back of the car purified. So he pulls over to a pond, pour the water in, purify it, comes out back to the car. In Russia, the gas doesn't burn. There's not enough octane in the gas. So he has an octane tank that drips octane into his tank, gas tank, to bring the octane level up so he can burn the gas. He has an escape hatch out of the bottom of the car and out of the side of the car. He built into this car an escape hatch in case the mafia came after him, the Russian mafia, or whatever happened, he could escape out of the car. This guy is the most incredible man I've ever met in my life. And nobody knows him. He's just a man who felt led of God. His next heartbeat's a heartbeat of obedience, and he goes in the Russian, and he started churches all across the part of that world. That day, he'd come back to Budapest to stock up on supplies and go back to the mountains. Well, I said, don't leave till I come and pray for you. He said, Walker, as soon as you pray with me, I'm heading back. I said, okay, I'm coming to pray for you. So I went over to his place. He lives on a floor, has a sheet on a concrete floor. That's what he sleeps on when he's in Budapest. I said, how can I pray for you? He said, pray for humility for me. You got a second choice? I can't pray that. He's the most humble man I've ever met in my life. No recognition, no glory. He just does what God tells him to, and no one knows where he's at. He just goes and does God's will. He said, then he started crying. I said, oh, Bela, what's the matter? He said, I need humility. I'm having a problem with pride. And I said, why is that? He said, I became a citizen of Hungary this week. I'm a citizen of Russia. I'm a citizen of Hungary. I'm dually aligned, they call it. And so the law is when you become a citizen of Hungary, you have to stay in the country for 9 months. You cannot leave the border for 9 months. And I did not know that when I became a citizen, and I'm stuck in the country for 9 months. I cannot leave to go back to do ministry for 9 months. And he said, I'm having a hard time dealing with this. You know, I said, Bela, surely there's some way you can get out of the country. He said, Walker, there's only one way. I said, what is it, Bela? He said, there's only one way I can get out of the country. I said, what's that? He said, if I have a personal letter from the President of Hungary, I could get out of the country. I said, what? He said, if I have a personal letter, he said, if I just had a personal letter from the president of Hungary, I could get out. I said, Bela, why don't we call him at home? What are the odds that 20 minutes ago, I got the telephone number 3 hours later, before that I met the president's son because a subway broke down. My disappointment became God's divine appointment. I'm on a bus, there's the president's son of Hungary, and all of a sudden, 3 hours later, he gives me a personal home telephone number so I can call him when I get him in Belarus. I get to Bela, he's crying because he's upset, he can't do ministry, and what he needs is a personal letter for the president of Hungary. What are the odds of that happening? 100%. When you're and your next heartbeat's a heartbeat of obedience. And your obedience is usually someone else's salvation. You're going to get this before I leave, okay? And you're never going to forget it. I want this so ingrained in you that when you lay at night, really witness will seek your soul. Divine encounters. Because you start seeing things differently in your life when you understand this principle. So we called the president of Hungary. And I took him to Pizza Hut. He's never been to Pizza Hut. So I thought I'd just give him the finer things of American life, okay? And since I don't speak Hungarian very well, except yo naked, and I thought that'd be kind of silly, said the president on it, yo naked, president, good for you. There's a guy named Arpad Ravis. He was the man that was held in prison for the Communist Party because he held the church together, and most of his life he'd been in prison for his faith. Big hunk of a man. When he walks in, the sun goes black because he just very impressive. Height Hungarian man. And I said, I took Arpad with me. And I said, I need you to go with me and meet the president, and this is what we need to do. First of all, we need to encourage him to make his faith public in Jesus Christ. The second thing, I need to get a letter for Bela. That's what I need to do. And Arpad went with me. And they were talking Hungarian. Of course, you ever heard Hungarian, it sounded like, they're just about ready to throw up. And they got that guttural sound going and stuff. And so finally got done, and 3 things happened. First of all, Bela had his letter the next day. I saw Bela, he was just honking his horn, waving his letter, heading toward the border. The president, a month later, went forward and took a stand, and stands now as a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ. Okay, in Hungary. The third thing that happened, I did not see coming. You ever get blindsided by the things of God sometimes? Where'd that come from? And what happened was, Arpad asked to start a Bible study in the Parliament of Hungary. Every week there was a Bible study with the Parliament people in Hungary. And it's been going on for a little while now. And just guess what happened not too long ago? The President and the Parliament of Hungary passed a law. And this is the law in Hungary. It's the law. Every child in public school will be introduced to the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ in the public schools of Hungary. And last year, 5 million children in their local public school heard the plan of salvation given in their public school. What are the odds of that happening? I just pray for that odds to happen in America.